We'll do chicken. Shall we start or wait a bit?
We can do this.
Okay, all right. Okay, once again, thank you for everyone. Thank you very much, Chabala, for drumming me all the way from Thailand to here, and then doing the live stream and everything. Oh, hello. Hey, thank you. Our young. Beautiful. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so let's start. I think we can start with creating a good, atmosphere, meaning generating the proper, motivation. So which usually consists of like 2 or 3 parts. Usually, whatever you like, and I will present something that I usually does, but it's not necessarily applied to everyone. So usually what I do is like visualizing or imagining that refuge field. Refuge doesn't mean like someone from outside to come and save you or protect you. In this case, you just imagine that any beings in the universe who are benefiting, who are full of love, compassion, and caring for others. Just imagine that you are sitting in front of them. That's a refuge field, okay? And then the other one, it's like a bodhicitta field. And I also wanted to I wanted to follow the same path, those who are benefiting from many beings. And I also wanted to also wanted to follow their footstep. And in that case, it's just not only you just include all other fellow human beings, all other fellow sentient beings, let's say that, that all doing the practice together. That's what we call the Bodhicitta fields. So you just take few seconds to imagine that. And then when you do that, maybe, yeah, good. The physical body posture is quite important. Make comfortable and very relaxed as much as possible. And forget all this, any other kind of, conflict or some problem or some, uneasiness, things that happen throughout the day or the week or the month. Just for the time being, let it just go. And you just focus that wanted to create something peace and harmonious and calm and caring and loving sort of individual and then group of us. So yeah. And make sure that the physical body is also very relaxed, and check with your shoulder. There's no tense. And the most important thing is straight your spine. And then the neck is not really kind of bending or not really like that way. It's just straight. Try not to be rigid, but just completely relax and yeah. And if possible, the hand, probably put the left hand on the right, if possible, and very gently touch, not pressing, but just gently touch. And then the two thumb also slightly touch, and then the place at the level of navel. You can try. If not, you can just put on your, like knees, wherever is possible, wherever is more comfortable. And this is a good way to do when you do the meditation, like this. And then the leg, cross half Vajra position or full Vajra position, if possible. If not, sitting on the chair is perfectly fine. Okay. So now we have the refuge field, we have the Bodhicitta field, and we have set the physical, body posture. And now we do, few minutes of meditation, focus on our breath. And try as much as possible to just the mind, when you say mind, the mental consciousness, this is the term that we use, which means out of the 6 consciousness that we have, not the sensory consciousness. When you say sensory consciousness, yes, in the classical text we use eye consciousness, ear consciousness, and nose consciousness, and tongue consciousness, and then bodily consciousness, and then the mental consciousness. So the first 5, we call it the sensory consciousness. So when we are doing meditation, we are not really doing the meditation by the sensory consciousness, we are doing by the mental one. So the mind should be focused, just think, breathe, and exhale and inhale, and exhale and inhale. Okay. And then when you breathe really gently, and then normal, and then, if possible, very deep breath, not shallow. So we will So the text we are doing, it's as mind training. And based on the 37 practice of the Bodhisattvas. It's really, it's really, really important text. Did you study in the past here or somewhere else?
No, in fact, I have a question. How do I get this? Because I try to get this text to the temple shop.
Okay, yeah. So it's very, very important text and very, just understand, just reading, understand is more or less is quite easy. But the problem is make it practical. Make it practical is always challenging. So, but we can try whatever way we can in our own level, our own capacity. So we have to make sure that I am ready to apply this one. If you see that it's not ready, better wait rather than jumping into it. So we don't want to jump from the cliff. So then we don't want to, break out, lake for no reason. So because of that, it's very important to just make sure that, your mind, and the most important is your mind, the body, and the speech. It's really, it's the time to apply it or not. So, but is it really applicable? It doesn't mean like impossible to apply into the day-to-day, day-to-day practice, how to overcome these daily challenges. So yeah, it is important. There's possibility, always there's a possibility to apply this, teaching into your, daily life. Yeah. And I'll just give you some background. I think we've covered up to, verse number 7, right? And up to 7 is more like laying the foundation, meaning just we are preparing to do the, practice itself, the actual practice. So, the first two verse, which is first one is pay homage to the teacher, and then the second one is commitment, making promise that the author is going to write complete to write the piece. And then from verse third, it's actually, I'm just giving this kind of summary because we have only 3 sessions and you just go one by one with so detail. I don't think it's covered. It's good to just give the kind of summary of each of the verse. Verse number 3 is relying on solitude, meaning you have to find, if someone want to do serious meditation or more like, taking kind of serious to meditate, to apply, to really practice, and then it's important to find the conducive place. So verse number 3, it's called relying on solitude, meaning find a good space where you can meditate. So this is a perfect place. Or your home is also a perfect place, why not? But sometimes, yes, if you go to the, like, let's say, the Grand Central Railway Station, can you do meditate at there? Uh, there's no, you can't really say no possible, but for the general, in general, it's difficult. In general, yes, it's difficult, but that doesn't mean, nobody can do it. Some really good practitioner, they intentionally go to the where there's so many troubles, so many difficulties, so many chaos are happening, and then just observe how this life goes. And they find really good realization being into this kind of thing. But not everybody can do that. So because of that, for beginner or for, initial, person, initial mean those who are new into this practice, better to find like a more solitude, more conducive place, quieter, less distraction. Distraction, external distraction. Here is referring to the external distraction. But then when you say distraction, there's a, mental distraction and then external distraction. So what we have to work with is we have to work with the mental distraction. How do you really, keep away from the mental distraction? That really technical meaning is you have to, this is what it means. But then, external things also really affect for us. So because of that, it's good to find like a finding solitude place. And then the verse number 3 is actually being mindful of impermanence. So things can change. Anything that come to being and due to the cause and condition is momentarily changing. Anything that come to being with the cause and condition is not even like 1 second. It's just moving so fast. It's changing so fast. You cannot, stop it. You cannot stop to change because that's what it means. Like life is impermanent. You know, you know, birth, aging, sickness, death are inevitable. So it happened. And how it happened, where it happened, you can do a lot of philosophical kind of question, but whether we want to use our own mind and try to find the solution, or you want to rely on some source teaching or some like a different tradition have different presentation about this. It's always good to just get information from many different traditions as much as possible. Just keep our mind very open and just let it. Have you heard Gandhiji, Mahatma Gandhi? And if someone is interested, read his biography. It's very inspiring. He sometimes said like, I'll keep meaning all the doors, I want to keep everything in open. For example, we are sitting in this room, right? So the doors, the windows and everything, I want to just keep it open, but I don't want to shake my stability of my mind. And he was using like a metaphor, like butter lamp. When you're, the butter lamp is, light and shining in the room, no matter whether the doors and windows and all open, even though there's a winds blow, let it not really, like distinguish the flame. Meaning, make your mind stable and then get the information and then observe it. Just get aware. Hello. Hi. No worry, no worry, no worry. So to build mindfulness is important. That's why, stay stable mind, single pointed mind. So, but what we're talking, the mindful here, being mindful of impermanence. I mean, just be ready to accept the reality, freak out, or not that excited. Yes, of course, there are sometimes when there's a good thing happening, something really, like a headline, what do you call it in the media? Is it like hot news headline or whatever in the term we use? Sometimes yeah, we get excited. That's okay. That's completely okay. There's nothing wrong. But to get too excited and to get so, like disappointed are not good sign. Because of that, if you get too kind of disappointed, even it's a very small thing didn't come as what you what we wish. Sometimes you just freak out. Oh gosh, life have no meaning. There's no reason for me to be here. This kind of attitude, I think maybe not that helpful. And just go with the flow. There's always something, right? So be mindful with the impermanence. So impermanence is the teaching of the impermanence is very helpful to accept sickness, death, or old age, or anything that comes. Yeah, it the causes condition, someone or somebody have created this cause and condition, so it's supposed to happen. So what to do? If something's helpful, repeat, do again. And if something's not helpful thing is happening, maybe try to find the source, try to find the root, the cause, stop, happen again. So if it's not a helpful thing happen all the time, like some not beneficial thing, some that harmful thing happen repeatedly again and again, maybe better use our human, intelligence to stop it. If this unhealthy thing happen in the society again and again, and then certain point it become more kind of out of control, and then so many chaos can happen and nobody like it, right? So since we are all part of the world for sure, right? So we all, each and everyone have some responsibility to make our society, our community, our life better. So, we should try to, stop that nonsense, harmful thing happen again and again, anywhere in the world, because no matter whether we are here or there, everything is so much connected. Especially this 21st century where you have that science and technology so advanced, and maybe try to use them for the good. And then, try to, minimize this, some of the unhealthy things that happen. Yes, I understand it's not easy. Sometimes it's really, kind of distressing a little bit, but then maybe just you have to just be mindful, not freak out. Got it? And then verse number 5 is the way you say giving up bad company. You have to get some explanation here. Giving up bad company, meaning it's not easy to see someone is bad person. Since human beings, since we are fellow beings, it's difficult to say he or she is a bad person. What way you're looking, what kind of reason we're using that person bad. Yes, true, comparisonly, relatively, some individual acting more kind of tend to engage into in a wrong thing, and then some individual always tend to engage into the right thing or the beneficial thing. And I think from deep down it's good to keep compassion toward any beings, whoever engaging into wrong or right. Especially this kind of teaching, we try our best to be more compassion toward those beings who are engaging into harmful wrongdoing. Why? The reason we give here is he or she is engaging into wrong action. He's creating really, really, like a negative kind of cause and condition that bring him or her very, very, very suffering, very, very, negative action, result in the future. And sooner or later, you have to face the consequences for sure. Then, because of that reason, you have to be compassionate. It doesn't mean like let him or her, what is that? Why I'm saying here, giving up bad company, meaning not completely neglect and discard that person. If you neglect that person, if you discard that person, she may engage much worse thing. Because of that, we have to find some skillful way. How can lead that person into the right path? If possible, if possible. If is always the conditional thing. But if you keep saying if, and then something is, oh, maybe it's not possible for me, maybe someone else job, then you are not taking responsibility. So you have to be a responsible person, right? So yes, for beginner, when you say giving up bad company, means someone who, it's really a relative thing. There are not any individual who 24 hours engaging into wrong, right? What do you think? I don't think so, right? But just with some circumstances, some, you know, certain thing make them a little more engaging into wrong. But that's also not absolutely, you cannot change it. This is always, there's always chance to change it because it's impermanent, right? So, but at the beginning, it's true. It's maybe if you hang out with the company who always engage into like, violence, killing, drinking, using substances, this sort of thing. And slowly, slowly, somehow we also kind of adopt that kind of attitude. That way it will ruin your life because then after some time, just blaming to that person instead of, oh, I wasn't really careful for myself, right? You should stop from the beginning. If you think, oh, that's not really the right thing for me to do, then you should just don't stay away from the beginning. Stay away doesn't mean like just, completely, ignore that person. Maybe we should watch from distance and try to help in different way, indirectly, but maybe stay distance. So this, I guess, the verse number 5 way, then giving up bad company and relying on good companies. And if you spend time with like-minded people, and then our virtues, our positive action increase, like the waxing moon. What the verse actually say, the waxing moon. It's kind of beautiful. And then verse number 7, where with the verse number 7, it says refuge, but refuge here meaning, what was that? Let me see the verse. Let me read the verse once again, and then yeah. You could use this like this. If someone, okay, we often use this metaphor. Suppose there are two persons who are stuck in mud, or you and me, let's say that. We're actually just, we are, like stuck in mud. And we both have no capable to, take out from the mud and to take to this, there's a better place. So I can't rely on her that, take me out from the mud. And she cannot rely me to take out from the mud. So in this kind of situation, you have to find someone else for us to take away from the mud. So, this is what the verse number 7 mean, like a refuge. We take refuge, someone who can save you, someone who can, share their hands, helping hand, someone who have the power, someone who have the capability to help us instead of, two both of them are equally in trouble. I'm not in the position to help her, and she's not in the position to help me. So two of us, there's no in this situation, we both are not really capable to help each other at this point. But in the future, you never know, right? So in this situation, we need someone else who have more, capacity to help us. And then we go for refuge for that, could be a higher power, could be a human being, could be, skillful means that some people, play. So this is what it means, okay? So now the verse number 8, it goes, I'm just giving the summary, right? Because, go one by one is not, possible. Let's see. Verse number 8, where and then it put into when you do the real kind of practice, where it's verse up to number 7 is lay the foundation, meaning lighting the foundation. Now you want to do what practice you need to do. And you say like first capacity, small capacity, greater capacity. In Lamrim teaching, I think if when you study Lamrim, this is what usually teach. Because small capacity meaning, like it could be categorized in 3. Or another thing is renunciation, bodhicitta, or compassion, great compassion. And then the third one, which is wisdom, in which wisdom that relies interdependency. And when you say interdependency, you have like there are 3 different levels of interdependencies. Interdependence of cause and effect, interdependence of part and whole, interdependence of mere mental imputation. So try to understand that and explain our, understanding how things depend each other. And this is the third one. And another word usually often used, wisdom, emptiness too. But then you have to make sure that what does it mean by emptiness? So emptiness doesn't mean nothingness, but then this is more like there are some technical things are there. So renunciation, when you say renunciation doesn't mean that renounce the happiness. So renounce suffering. And then how do you renounce sufferings? And then we have to identify what is suffering. And then suffering meanings the uneasiness, something that nobody want. And then if we are fed up with that, and then you can't really wash with soap or water, you can't even cut it in pieces and throw away. And or someone else asks somebody, okay, I'm suffering, I am having like mental illness, and I ask you, can you help me to remove my mental illness? What can you do? You can't do much, right? So, but at least you can help something.
Yeah.
You can share your experience. You know, suppose you had some, you know, like a difficulty to stop drinking alcohol, or just suppose, okay? And then you find, oh, that's not right. It's harmful for my body, and also, you know, make your mind inflicted. So then you follow some step and stop drinking, and you have the experience how to do it, right? And I suppose I'm really engaging into drinking all the time, and then you can, but I need someone help to show kind of example how to stop it. You can share the experience with me, right? And then if I follow it, it makes sense. I should try that too. And we can do this kind of thing, right? So what we're talking here is how can you really minimize suffering? And in renunciation, when we want to renounce suffering, but then suffering itself is more, it has like 3 levels, right? How many different levels of suffering is there? You usually count like suffering change, and then pervasive condition suffering. And out of these 3, suffering, actually even dog and cat identifies as suffering. So we can tell these things, and they don't want that. It's very easy to, very manifest one. It's quite easy to recognize it, identify it, and then we try to, what is the causes? And then once you find the cause, then you do not really engage into the cause. If you stop the cause, and then the result won't come, right? So that's the, how we really renounce suffering. Renounce suffering meaning we have to stop engaging to the causes that bring us suffering. Changeable suffering, this is the thing. Suffering change. It's really deceiving us most of the time. Have you heard that? What anybody have any example of suffering and suffering change? Yes.
Personally, I'm someone who really likes sleep. I like sleeping. I like, sleeping in. But then sometimes in the morning when I'm trying to sort of have like this battle with myself where it's like, man, I want more sleep, but I'm feeling uncomfortable laying in my bed because now just what was comfy is just not anywhere. What was comfortable, it just, now just feels like my body hurts. Now I need to get up and go do something else. So what was pleasant became suffering, and
yeah. Yeah, that's right. Really good example. Yeah. Usually, that's really right. It's whatever in mundane world considered to be pleasure, in reality is a suffering change. Anything that we the ordinary people consider to be pleasure or happiness, but in reality is suffering. Why? The causes and conditions are contaminated or affliction, contaminated karma and affliction. So that's why it's a suffering change. But we are engaging into it, as you say, about the sleeping and then eating like some momos, some good food. If you keep eating, beyond what your stomach called, then you have diarrhea. You change it, right? So yeah, good. So then pervasive condition suffering, probably it's not easy to understand. The very, our own body is just like, it's pervade for you have to understand what is the causes are, and it's actually to go to the root cause of samsara. Have you heard that samsara? You say renunciation, and we want to renounce the samsara, taking rebirth into this cycle existence uncontrollably without freedom. That's the real suffering. But then for that, yes, then you need to try to understand, try to practice to follow the second and the third with like a compassion and then wisdom that realize, how things really, understand the true nature of the mind and the true nature of the reality, external, other than the mind and the mind itself. So for that, you have to recognize what is ignorance, how the ignorance lead us to getting, the three poison. What are the three poison? What was that?
Aversion,
Uh-huh.
attachment,
Uh-huh.
and forgetting.
Your daughter? No.
I have ideas, but I.
Yeah. Okay. It's known as a three poison. It's called like a attachment, aversion, ignorance. So we name them as a poison. These poison us. Why they poison us? Because of these three, we suffer the manifest suffering or the pervasive condition suffering or suffering change. This all come from that, but it's go much deeper. But for the time being, let's go a little bit easier. Have to make sure the time also. Yes. Okay, how to train in the path of the initial level practitioner. When you say three capacity, meaning the three, mental disposition, there are beings who want to stay away from suffering. And then if you don't want to have the suffering, what you need to do, not engage into non-virtuous action. Non-virtuous action, have you heard that? So what is non-virtuous action is what is virtuous action. You need to you need to understand what is virtuous action and what is non-virtuous action. Any action that bring suffering, any action that bring you suffering. I don't want to go to the technical. There's a technical, right? But we don't go to the too much technical here. Any action that bring suffering is known as non-virtuous action. And any action that bring about more lasting happiness is known as virtuous action. And then the action is intention, the karma action or karma. It's known as a karma or action. So its main thing is, drive by the mind, and then we engage into the body and speech. Suppose, I want to say some kind of harsh word to make, sometimes, you intentionally try to say some bad word for somebody else to make her or him, feeling, like, what do you call it? Make that person unhappy. But what do we get, to make that person unhappy? What do you get? Actually, it's cycle, right? You get more happy, more sad yourself instead of, instead of making, good for yourself, it's actually making worse for yourself. It's just a cycle. But anyway, so in the initial, the verse number 8, you have put the verse number 8 here? Good. Thank you. Verse number 8, where you say, the suffering of lower realms, so difficult to bear, is what the Buddha taught to the fruit of negative action. Therefore, even at the cost of your life, never to commit negative action is the practice of Bodhisattvas. So here is a lower realms, lower rebirth. Lower rebirth are known as like an animal, hell, and then hunger goes. But where they are doesn't matter. We know that like animals and are suffering so much more than us. And then some of them beings that maybe we do not really, recognize where they are, but they are. If you could, some people go to the ocean, right? And you see there's so many beings in there, they're eating each other. The parent eat the children, I mean, children mean their babies, they, upstream, and then sometimes the baby sees their parent. There's so many sufferings are there, right? So, and then we have to engage into the right, cause and condition in order to be able to, not really ourselves in that situation. Doesn't matter. It's like this is what he did, Lord Ram, and it's where he says, sorry. Yeah, some of the sufferings are unbearable sufferings are there. And then maybe, there are people who do some animal right? So, like saving fish and cats and dogs that there are. I actually noticed in the West, people are really much about loving animals and keeping them as a pet, as counting them as a family, which is healthy thing. Of course, you do in Asia, India too, but not that much. Because I think we have too many people, I guess. I'm not sure. Anyway, so lower ram, higher ram, whatever. You count it's like a lower ram, animal, hungry ghost, and hell ram. This is what you count. And then higher beings, higher being meanings human, gods and goddesses. This is how you count. And then just use our own personal life as an example, and then see our surrounding. And we human have more kind of leisure, and we have more opportunity to engage into the right action, positive action. This is what it is. And let's see, verse number 9. Verse number 9 is that happiness in the three rams like dew on blade of grass. Is subject to it. Is subject to it. I don't know how to and that is fading away. To strive for the supreme state of liberation that never waver is the practice of Bodhisattva. If you go to the too technical thing, maybe it's a little bit away from us, for me at least. But this samsara, I think we touched a little bit about this. Any thing that in the mundane world considered to be pleasure, it is actually in the nature of suffering. If you see, even the very little kind of relief or pleasure, it doesn't last long. It's just like a what you call the dew on the blade of grass. Just a few seconds of sun shining, it doesn't go away. It's very momentary. So we have to strive for like a long-lasting happiness rather than the temporary. The main takeaway here is try to find long-lasting happiness rather than the temporary. Not just stick with the temporary one. Do not get too kind of obsession with the temporary relief or temporary pleasure. These are, the causes are not that stable. That's what it means. And then now, the verse number 10. Verse number 10 is generating the altruistic intention. So what does it mean by that? In generating altruistic mind, I want to benefit as much as possible. It's good to have, good aspiration, even though we are not in the position to fulfill much, but it's good to have this inspiration. I want to benefit so many beings as much as possible. And then we can start from baby step and then move to a little bit higher, and then move to a little bit higher. Continue to grow rather than degenerate. So that's a good step to start, I think. And so that word where you say from the beginningless time, your mothers have cherished you. Here you use your mothers, meaning generally, children are very close to their mother most of the time. And if there are certain cases where mothers and children may have some little complicated kind of relationship, that's just so in very small, right? Usually mothers, see here we have the beautiful two children with your mom, right? Your mom is your source of benefit. What do you think?
Mhm.
Yes, that's so lovely. Really, really beautiful. So, children, they have 100% trust into their parents. So, especially when they are really little, right? If the parent do not really look after them, we will be die. We won't be alive now today. So because of that, just we have to think, not just stick very much narrow-minded and just think about only your own little happiness is most important, and then the rest neglect. That's not the right attitude for the practice. This is what is here. We are saying beginningless time, meaning not necessarily you think about the previous life or future life, or not necessarily. Only just think about only this lifetime, from mother womb until we get an old age. How many people come across our life? How many people, how many what you say, like stranger benefit so much. Stranger mean that you don't know each other that well. Maybe you haven't met in the past, but somehow directly, indirectly, they're really helpful. There's always someone who's there to help you. Someone always there to. That way we could, trust to, build the trust among human beings. So, often distrust build up because of suspicion, because of fear. Maybe better not get too much fear within yourself. Build some kind of confidence in yourself. Okay, I'm thinking, I know things. This, make sure that we all have the capacity to serve, to stand yourself and others. This kind of mental and this kind of attitude may be helpful. So, what the verse number 10, what it's saying is, when you say you one, and all being so many, and which one is most important? One single person important or many important? In reality, the many people is important, but then you are also important because we are also part of the many, right? We are also part of the many, so we should include ourselves there too. It doesn't mean like selfish reason, but we also have every right to live happily and right way, and this is it. So we all included in there. That's, I think, right way to put, I guess. And therefore, in order to liberate limitless numbers of sentient beings, if possible, try to help as much as possible, so that way we can live harmoniously for sure. Okay, you can think really, really practical way, and very, like something that we will be able to do it. And then verse number 11 is about meditating, utilizing. There's a verse number 11 to 21 is generating altruistic mind. Verse number 11 to 21. It's generating altruistic mind. It's known as bodhicitta too. And then what is bodhicitta? What is altruistic mind? What is it? And we have the definition of altruistic mind, bodhicitta. Meaning of the bodhicitta. Anybody have? Yes, please.
Well, there's like two aspects. There's the aspiring bodhicitta, which is your, aspiration to actually become a Buddha for the benefit of all beings. And there's engaging bodhicitta, which is actually practicing those practices of gathering merit and wisdom to be able to benefit others.
Exactly, that's perfect. So, yeah, that's the two types of the bodhicitta, or the two types of altruistic mind. Yeah, aspiring bodhicitta and engaging bodhicitta. Exactly what you said. So thank you. So yeah, this is what you need to. That's why I say it's always good to have the aspiration, and then engaging into it. Then you recognize your limitation and recognize your potential, and then whatever the potential you have, use it for engaging into this Bodhisattva practices. And if there's some weaknesses there, try to identify them, and then slowly minimize the limitation or the weakness and increase the potency or the potential. This is how we acting try. So let's see, verse number 11, what it says: All suffering comes from yearning. All suffering, okay. All suffering comes from yearning for your own happiness. The perfect Buddhas are born from the intention to benefit others. Therefore, to truly exchange your own happiness for the benefit, for the suffering of others is the practice of Bodhisattvas. So it's a beautiful thing where you mean all suffering comes from earning your own happiness. Mean all the problem come from ignorance or selfish, self-cherishing mind, self-centered attitude. Another word. Self, me is the most important, not no one else. This kind of attitude bring suffering. In reality, suffering. But we are thinking that we are creating happiness. We are creating the cause of happiness, but instead, what we are creating is suffering, because maybe temporary sort of a pleasant or temporary kind of a happiness, so-called happiness could bring, but for long run, no. This is what here is talking. And here it's a Buddhas. It doesn't really mean like a Buddha mean the very word meaning of the Buddha is awakened one. And awakened one meaning awaken from sleep of ignorance, right? So if you're ignorant for many situations, then there's no way to how do you really engage into the right thing? Because if you don't know the reality, clearly, it's difficult to say what to adopt and what to discard. So that's what it means. Buddha means awakened one, meaning who have the information, who is, completely kind of, dedicated for others rather than yours, and that gets, selfish. The intention. So in the bodhicitta, there's also intention. But if you go to the very technical thing, and then what is in bodhicitta is primary mind, which aspire to become fully awakened one to benefit all beings. And it has two kinds, as you said, aspiration bodhicitta and engaging bodhicitta. Yeah. Okay, let's go. And verse number 12. Verse number 12 is about transforming the unfavorable circumstances into the path during the post-meditative period. This is what its technical word used, but here, let's read the verse and then think about it a little bit. Even if someone driven by excessive desire steal all your wealth or incent someone else to steal it, to dedicate to this person your body, possession, and all your virtue of the 3 times is the practice of Bodhisattvas. Something is quite tough, right? Not easy to engage into it, but you can't say impossible either. If someone who have someone who have like a big heart. And there are many examples there. I remember one time long ago, I was actually attending teaching with one very good teacher, and he had a thing. Some relative came to visit him from Tibet, was in Dharamsala, and those time long ago, more than 20 years ago, I think, and they came from Tibet to India to visit, his relatives and see the teacher. And somehow what happened to the mother, she had like some money, to come to India, go to pilgrimage, go to, attend teaching. You should have some money, otherwise impossible, right? And somehow she lost her purse, where all the cash or whatever in the purse. She lost it. So they have a plan to go to teaching. They have a plan to go to visit many, like a sacred site. Since, people who come from Tibet to India, mostly their intention is to go to visit the different, sacred site, like Bodh Gaya or Varanasi or the different Tibetan settlement where you have many monasteries, the monks and teachers are there. So she lost her purse. And then the teacher who was telling this story to us, and then the mother, she didn't freak out. What she said instead, okay, yeah, I'm sure somebody have found my purse and I'm sure this will benefit her or him. Oh, that's good. She came all the way from Tibet to India and she lost her purse and she wasn't sad. She said she wasn't devastated. And she said, okay, I'm pretty sure that somebody found the purse and he or she can use for good. So I'm okay with that. It's a really good example, right? So if you then there's always you can find something to do for you, right? Maybe you can borrow for some money from your parent, or maybe some friend, some other, or somebody else come to help you. There's always possibilities. Always the doors are always open in different places and different situation. This kind of mental attitude is something really good to learn from them. I thought, oh, that's really good lesson. So. Why I was saying that? Oh yeah, here. This is a kind of good kind of a connection with this verse. Even somebody who still or who lost or maybe not really get too devastated about it. Try to find another kind of ways and means to maintain more calm and peace and find different way. Why not? That's always possibility. The world is, I think, full of good people. For sure. And you can't really many teachers often use this metaphor. Suppose we have like a bag of apple. One apple is rotten and the rest not. And if one apple is rotten, you can't really say that all the apple is rotten. There's only one rotten, like a rotten, but the rest are good. You can use it. You can make an apple pie. You can make apple, syrup, or you can use it for many good things. If there's one, it's kind of rotten. Maybe take it out and place somewhere in a good place. Maybe the insect can eat it. It's not really helpful for the human being. Maybe it's helpful for some others. In the everything is useful. You can turn into this thing. So this is what it means. And then here, what is it? Dedicate, meaning, see, this is the lady who lost her purse. She immediately dedicate whatever the money that in the purse to dedicate that person, whoever have found it, instead of running around here and there shouting, my purse is lost. Blah, blah, blah. Of course, in a certain time, you have to go and find it. If there's nobody around you who can help you, then you have to go and try to find it. If not really finding and going to another not wise thing to do either, right? And then verse number 13, number 13 is suffering. This is, yeah, it's a very courageous thing to do, but where you say, if someone cut off your head, even when you have not done the slightly wrong, through the power of compassion, to take his misdeed upon yourself is the practice of Bodhisattva. It's expanding the mind. That's possible, but you have to be really skillful here. We have to be really skillful and we have to be really realistic. You can't really do a foolish thing. You can't really do something that unrealistic thing. We can't expect some unrealistic things. So because of that, we have to be really practical. And it's have you heard the Tonglen practice? Giving and taking, Tonglen practice. Tonglen, in Tibetan is known as Tonglen practice. Giving and taking, thinking that whatever is a good thing within yourself, imagine that you're offering to the others, and then whatever others are having difficulties, suffering, taking their suffering to yourself. And this is how you really expand your compassion, wish to free others from suffering. It's a mind training. Physically you can exchange, physically no possible. Yeah, you can give some comfort, give some medicine. If someone have like a wound on their you can clean their wound, you can give them an antiseptic, you can put them like a bandage. Yes, but here you're talking about healing the mind rather than the physical. Physical anything healthy also important. Physical hygiene and mental hygiene. Out of these two, mental hygiene is the most important I here consider. So I can give one example here. If something is not possible, is possible or not, this kind of practice engaging. Someone who have, higher realization, someone who think that if this body is just like a kind of guest house and the consciousness is the guest, and if you someone who have, who knows how to control their mind, someone who have power where where your mind can be transferred, for them it doesn't matter, even though somebody come and cut their head, the mind can travel. So especially someone who's, the body is a little old, it's a time to say goodbye. It's quite true in a way, so get something in a new one, new vessel. You use the vessel, new vessel to use for more practice. So yeah, I could give you one example. It's pretty good example. It's true story. I think it's during Cultural Revolution in Tibet. So I'm actually from Ladakh in India, but I know all this story about Tibet, okay? And there was one June Cultural Revolution, I'm not sure about, in 80s or sometime in Tibet. There was one very, very good teacher who was practicing altruistic mind, compassion, who teach, who live with it. And somehow there was like a large number of monks who put into prison. And then I think some of them were executed. Have you heard that? And one teacher who was really, really, really important teacher, actually is like a teacher of many, many monasteries. Is responsible for many big monasteries. He was included in that role. And so it was a time that God, I don't know whoever do that, to kill him. Oh gosh, okay. It's a story. This is a real story. And they took him to execute him, okay? It's a really true story. His Holiness told this story as us. The Dalai Lama tell this story. And when these people who are there to, I don't know, shot him or whatever, method they used to kill him. And what he said, just wait, I need to do, some prayer before you kill me. And then there's one verse citing like, may, this is the exactly word actually. I mean, same meaning, but slightly different word. Slightly different word. It's actually in the Guru Puja. You do Guru Puja offering. It's actually in the verse from the Guru Puja song offering, where it says, may all the suffering of other beings wrap in on myself. And then, whatever suffering, whatever unpleasant thing that I experience, may this, the others suffering, what is that? The word. He was dedicating his practice to those who are engaging into the wrongdoing. And may my mental qualities endowed to them instead of me. It was really beautiful word, and he did this prayer, very calm, peaceful, no any kind of restlessness or frustration, nothing. And once he have done that prayer, and then he asked, okay, now it's time, you can kill it. And they shot him. And then the person who shot him, how much kind of heavy kind of action created. So, there are some practitioners who really does this kind of practice. And for him, for sure, his mind, he can control his mind. He can just get like a new form, new body in somewhere we're supposed to. and he can continue to his, these are the quality of the mind rather than the physical body, So of course, physical body is also a vessel we should cherish it because, I think verse number 1, which is, the precious human body, right? We should cherish it. We should pay attention for it. We should keep it, like healthy as much as possible to continue to do the good work. Okay, cool. So, verse number 14. Okay, now, so verse number 14 is actually, the heading is more like a blame. If someone blame you, don't freak out again. But yes, when it's needed, you need to explain your position, your intention, your plan. You have to do the dialogue, create some kind of space to have the good dialogue, constructive dialogue, and then work together. It's most of the time it's not easy for sure, but it doesn't mean impossible either, right? Where you say, should someone slander you in a billion worlds with a loving heart to proclaim his good qualities is in return is the practice of Bodhisattva. If someone blame you all the time, criticize you all the time, if you haven't done anything that, hurt other, if you haven't done any wrongdoing, it just feel, I feel really sorry what he or she's saying. I haven't done anything for her or him. I feel very sorry doesn't mean like in the sense of pityness, rather than, in long run, he or she may, have to face some difficulties, Instead, try to find the good quality of that person, and then instead of criticizing, what is that? There's another word called pointing finger to fingers and dark the world or something. It's nice, if someone criticizes you, if you flash back the criticism, and then
makes the world go blind.
what was that?
An eye for an eye. Makes
Exactly,
the
the eyes for eyes that make the world blind. Exactly, I like this one. It's really nice, right? Eyes on eyes and blind the world. This is really good. Actually, it's actually something that's very universal kind of information that you could use for very much in practical level. So criticism, we welcome criticism. So meaning it gives us some kind of opportunity to do some internalizing check. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. I should, correct my attitude or my mental attitude or my action, my body, my speech action. And then that gives you a really good opportunity to do some contemplation instead of an eye on eye. An eye on eye. Thank you very much. That was really beautiful. Okay, now verse number 15 is blame and criticism. What is different between blame and criticism? If you're in the middle of crowd of people, someone reveals your hidden faults and abuse you for them. To see him as spiritual friend and to bow with respect is the practice of Bodhisattvas. Number 14, where you say like someone blaming you, you practice patience. And then the number 15, where you say someone criticize you, but you do not really criticize them back. And if someone blame you, you do not really blame, maybe blaming behind. Criticism could be in face-to-face. There's some slight difference between these two. We can check. We can do more kind of read some of the commentary. Maybe if you have, maybe you have the commentary. There are there's the commentary for this text. There are many commentaries are there. This is pretty good one actually. It's have you seen these books? It's a 37 practice of the Bodhisattvas, an oral teaching by Geshema Rinchen, translated and edited by Ruth Sonam. In the Library of Tibetan Work and Archive in Dharamsala, Geshema Rinchen, who was serving as a the resident teacher at the Tibetan Library for a long time, is a really, really good practitioner and good teacher, benefits millions and many. In the Library of Tibetan Work and Archive is like a center where they offer classes for foreigner, mostly foreigner. Yes, there are Indian, many others, but mostly English-speaking people. And Geshe Sonam Ranjana, there's another Geshe who was teaching there. And this is commentary that he have given. And I think it's available on Amazon. And then there's another commentary written by Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche. Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche, a very, very great teacher from Nyingma tradition. He have also written, I'm sure there are many, but there are two of them I'm aware of this. So maybe read different commentaries and you could have a different perspective about the blame and the criticism. Let's the blame and criticism welcome to correct myself. I need to correct myself. I'm not a perfect person, right? So each one of us try to make good or perfect as much as possible. Then how can you really correct our attitude? And by contemplating step by step, day by day, and week by week. This is how you can make kind of progress, I think. All right, so, and verse number 16. Verse number 16 is if you have served, if you have benefited so well with the pure heart to someone, but if the other person instead of repaying, instead of receiving what you have done in the good way, if they do the opposite, what do you do? For example, parents who look after their children, dedicate each and everything for the children. And then when the children grown up and when the parents are having some difficulty, when they need some help, then they need some, not really expecting, but instead of, helping, instead of serving the parent, if they do the opposite thing, that is what is it? It's doing the opposite thing, right? This is the verse number 16 say, this is not right thinking. It's not really where you say, if someone whom you cherish as dearly as your own child take you for an enemy, then like mothers whose child is sick, to love the person even more is the practice of Bodhisattvas. If someone who you really cherish so much, you really give everything to him or her, but instead of, consider to be, receiving what you have done is as a, morally, right, but instead of, repaying kindness, that thing, if they're acting something strange way, then you have to more compassionate toward that person. It's like your only child is very sick. He or she needs help to take to the hospital. Doesn't mean take to get the medical hospital, but try to help to fix what is going on with his or her mind is wrong. Of course, it's not easy, right? But it's just if you expand our compassion, if you really prepare well to deal with the situation, it's always a possibility. Courageous, Bodhisattva means someone who's very courageously, working toward the welfare of others. So there's always possibilities are there. If something is not possible at this moment or this day, and then just wait and then come back again later. This is how we really try to do these things. Okay, I'll finish the verse number 17 and then we can stop, I think. Verse number 17 is too good. Okay. Even when someone who is your equal or inferior, driven by arrogance, seek to disparage you, to place him on the crown of your head, with the same respect you would accord your guru or your teacher, is the practice of Bodhisattva. So here, what does it mean by equal and inferior? Equal, maybe the quality of the mental attitude, the quality of the ethical discipline, the quality of the way of communicating people. If the knowledge, that pretty much equal, or inferior, I mean someone who is maybe least educated, at least a little bit, like in terms of the quality in there. But if they, because of their arrogance is too big and try to, like press you down or look you down or this kind of thing that happen, instead of revenge, you do the opposite. Respect. Pay respect. Pay respect. And the adverse is the mind training. It's a really powerful thing too, again, when you say these things are there. You respect more than, pushing down. If we, what was the other one? You often say strong people never respond with, if someone criticizes someone, you revenge you, someone, like look you down. The strong people never respond with look down that other person. But the weak people do that. Because the weak people are not prepared, mentally weak. And they're just taking, everything is taking like a negative rather than positive. You can transform adversary into opportunity. Another word, this we say the adversary transform into an opportunity, right? Practice patience. If there's someone who if there's no one who causes you sort of angry, and then probably most of the time we don't get angry much, right? But sometimes people is kind of stupid angry with the table, with a cup. These are kind of nonsense things, right? These are the different, exception. But usually if someone, cause you some uneasiness or some, kind of a, creating some, kind of a fact, creating some kind of a situation that cause you get little aggressive or angry. Instead of getting that, you try to transform that into the opportunity. I should practice patience instead of getting angry to that person. We can try all the time. We can try all the time. It doesn't matter. When you see the benefit of practice patience, when you see the benefit of, like practicing the, like taking it, like the giving and taking in the Tonglen practice, when you see the benefit, the long run, then we are determined to not like responding with a negative way. Then fear, what about, sometimes you have to be like a tough for children, someone who are really engaging into, when someone who was, walking toward the wrong direction. And if you try to be like a nice, gentle way, there are some people who don't listen when you say we're always, softness. You have to be a little wrathful. You have wrathful aspect of the teacher, right? Some teachers are wrathful, but wrathful very skillfully. We can try to be wrathful in a skillful way rather than in a negative. All right, so I think we have only 9 minutes left. Even when someone who is your equal or if inferior, driven by arrogance, seek to disparage you, to place him or her at the crown of your head, with the same respect you would accord with your guru, is the practice of Bodhisattvas. You respect more than that. Maybe think that he or she have slightly, like apparently not that helpful kind of impression is there, but you never know, inside maybe what is going on in your his or her mind. Probably I better not really respond with a negative way. I try to find something else. So probably that will be the thing. Okay, so we finish up to words number 17, and then we will finish the next section. We have got only one session left, and finish the next. And if anybody have any question, I'll be happy to answer if I know. If not, and I can learn from you, why not? Yeah. Anybody have any question? We have, yes.
I often find it difficult when doing these sort of like reflections and meditations, when I'm thinking about the topic and I'm analyzing the topic, it feels, you know, easy to, you know, put myself in that mind state of, you know, taking on the sufferings of others, giving my happiness to others. And but then when I actually face those problems in real life,
Mhm.
like I just kind of forget all of that. I just kind of like, you know, react, you know, like ordinarily, like, you know, getting mad at someone. And it's like, how do we um I guess how do we what's the word that I'm looking for? When we're doing these analytical meditations, how do we make it more real so that we can actually like sort of train ourselves in encountering the actual situation rather than just leaving it just as thinking?
So your main question is sort of how do you really in actually it's happening?
Yes, yes.
When you're sitting yourself alone and then doing some contemplation of that, yes, it's easy, right? Because it's not someone out there causing you this trouble, right? But when you're actually in that situation, how do you really deal with it? Remember this information when this actual kind of situation come up. Most of sometime there's no enough time for you to do this reflection for sure because it's just we're so quick to react. So for that, I think mindfulness training is important in a way. Be mindful all the time, 24/7. Try to be mindful each and every situation. And if you train on regular basis, if you think on regular basis, and then it's possible that you can apply, instead of react. Oh, wait a minute. Yes, true. When you get sometime in the anger, it's like a fire, right? And then after some time you regret in a way. So what is the best way? It's better not really react straight away. Give time for yourself a little bit if there's no time. But it's very much depend on the situation sometime. What do you think?
I
Yes,
think it's very hard.
it is hard.
I think it's just very, very hard, especially for those of us who don't have wonderful mental health, or we've had, traumas in our past, and we have certain reactions that are built in. It's really hard to overcome that. And so much of these are about overcoming that. And for me, like I struggle with the exact same thing. And I often find that like in those occasional moments when I am able to overcome it, it often amounts to doing something that feels like jumping off a cliff. And so when I'm forcing myself to be able to jump off the cliff, then I overcome and I can sometimes live up to some of this stuff, but it's gonna require, for me, it often is gonna require something that doesn't feel natural. And then I know I'm on the path.
Yeah,
If it's
right.
not feel,
Exactly. It's very understandable.
If the reaction is automatic, then I know, okay. If I get if I'm filled with a sense of righteousness and it all comes naturally, I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, so you have to be, it's really true. But I think we try our best to train in that way, and in every day to day, as you say about we have trauma, we have so many history in the past, but past is past. Of course, it's not easy to get away from this experience. But if you're thinking, oh, he or she have done something in the past, doing now and the future. If you keep thinking that, it's actually putting too much a pile up about this kind of hatred, kind of like frustration. Maybe try not really thinking much about the past. Yes, we learn a lot from the past experience, lessons, and it won't come like automatically, the changes, but effort, you need some effort to happen these things for us. But the effort is also not come automatically again. But then maybe try to find some kind of the what we call the outcome participation. The outcome of the participation is greater than respond with anger. And yes, we can try as much as possible, but very practical. It's not easy for sure. It's not easy for sure. It won't come automatically either if you not really put effort. Effort meaning joy to learning it. Effort doesn't mean like a hard work. Hard work is also, yeah, but working hard, not necessarily you have the joy into the action, joy to learning it.
Yeah.
Learning this, putting this into the practice, I think you should have some joy into it, but the joy can come only if you do some experiment.
Yeah, and maybe jumping off a cliff was too much.
Right.
But maybe just to step that back a little bit, all of these are about vulnerability. They
Okay.
require vulnerability to engage in the ways that a lot of the verses are instructing
Right,
us. And
right.
vulnerability requires a degree of courage and bravery
Yeah,
have
courage
to
and
stomach
bravery. Good.
to be open and to be there.
Yeah, right. Bravery and courage is skillful, where the skillful means, with the skillful means, with the compassion, the very good intention, bravery, good intention with the like a courage is very important. Courage is, to be the courageous could be that too. Meaning courage is always made it better, always have this, like the taking responsible for others in the right way rather than, creating the negative thing. And yes, I fully agree what you're saying. It's not easy. I studied many, many, many years in Dharamsala, over 30 years. And tackling with this emotion is always not easy all the time. And there are so many teachers who said, never give up. Try to continue. But then very, very practical, as you say, when you come to really practical level, it's not easy. But not easy doesn't mean it's impossible. You always think about it, it doesn't mean impossible. It requires some, regular experiment, on regular basis, do some contemplation, more learning, more, information, hey, sharing from different, expert, or someone who have more experience than you, some are elder, or sometimes even you can learn from children. Children are so pure. We can learn a lot from children. I don't know, interestingly. What do you think?
Yes.
We can learn a lot from children. They come with very pure answer. If you ask something, they don't have this sophisticated sort of thinking. So yeah.
I learned a lot from young people.
What was that?
I learned a lot from young people.
Exactly.
Like the energy of like,
Uh-huh.
20 something, they're fun.
Right.
And they're usually more open-minded than.
Right.
people.
So do you have a question? What was that you?
I just want to say that, I try to be a practitioner.
Uh-huh.
I know we all have a long way to go, but the more I practice, the more it becomes second nature for me.
So what was that?
Everything becomes more second nature
Second nature.
to think about, like a right thought or
A right action, right
the
thought.
more I do it,
Uh-huh.
the easier it becomes.
See, good. That's good. So which means, yeah.
Yeah, for me as well, I agree. But I think in terms of reacting and getting angry, it happens so quickly, so automatically, and it does require so much bravery.
Mm.
But for me, I think the greatest gift that I've given myself recently is patience and meeting for patience for myself to be like, okay, I reacted, I need to get away from this situation and contemplate. But it's to go back to that person and be like, okay, I reacted, can we talk about this in a calm, loving way?
Mm.
And I think reaction is also like something that you want to change the mind right away of the other person. And it's just like things don't happen quickly. Sometimes things take a really long time.
Mm.
And that's where I had a question about that, because there was a part about letting go of friendships that are poisonous.
Letting go of the friendship.
That are not healthy.
Okay. If if there's unhealthy, okay, got it. If there's unhealthy I'm supposed to say friendship's supposed to be healthy, but it's you know what the verse number where it say do not accompany with a bad friend.
Right.
Get the lesson from there,
Yeah.
meaning you're not really looking that person like you're 100% bad, but there are certain elements that you disagree with him or her. There are certain, action that you do not really welcoming to in your life. That doesn't mean that person is 100% negative. But if something is influencing you to degenerate your qualities, degenerating your practice, maybe it's better stay away physically for the time being. From deep down, not let her or him, like away, ignore, or not, don't care much about it or something like that. Yes, sometimes it could be a little tricky how to really deal with it. But then, yeah, what you're saying.
You recommend like keeping practice and staying away from them physically at the moment, but then maybe you feel, oh, I feel more secure in my practice and more secure that I won't react in this situation. Maybe it's time to go back and try
It
to
depends on the situation. If something is not helpful for both yourself, both the friend and the yourself, for the time being, maybe better stay away for some time. Give space. This is what you call, right? Give space for both. And then doesn't mean like you completely discard and creating that person in kind of image of like a ghost or sort of thing. No, it's just from your heart, care, respect the person. But in this situation, it doesn't really help my growth for the time being. Then just stay away a little bit. I think that would be the right way to do, I guess. I think, thank you. We are 11:35, and thank you so much. Let's dedicate. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. So let's dedicate our merit that gather together to, increase, expand our friendship, our respect, and grow. And then all the enlightened beings live long and continue their activities to benefit for many, many, many beings. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.